Hello, crypto world. Welcome to the Chart Historian. My name is Justin, and on this channel, I delve deep into crypto charts, exploring chart structures, fractals, and patterns. Well, in this video, I want to discuss the XLM chart. I want to discuss what is likely coming down the pike. I want to show you the bigger picture, the macro structure. That way you can know what season we're in within the bigger structure. So as you can see, XLM has been in a decline for some time. Now, is this normal? Is this what the macro structure tells us should be taking place? Well, to answer that question, let's zoom out and get a bigger picture of the macro structure, and we can examine what takes place. Okay, so here is a zoomed out picture of the macro structure. Let's start right here. So XLM has a bull run. After the bull run comes a decline. Now, I take this decline and I divide it into three separate fractals. So the first fractal is the crashing structure. This is where price moves down fast and aggressively. The decline is part of the decline. It's not broken out of that decline yet, but it's not this crashing, fast-moving structure either. After this decline comes what I call the lower decline, where price is kind of evening out. It's, for the most part, done the decline. This is where it touches the ground. So after this decline comes a range-bound sideways time where price does not move up high, it doesn't drop down low, it's just kind of range-bound, and this takes place after the decline and before the next bull run. I divide this decline into two separate fractals. Once it completes this time, it enters into the bull run once again, and into the crash, and then into the decline, into the lower decline. Now, if you notice something in this picture right here, you see some fractals took longer to play out than others. I'm talking about the same fractal. So for instance, this decline was much shorter than this decline. This lower decline was much higher than this one went. So what we can see from this is that timing is different. Some are shorter than others. The height is different. Some are higher than others. And the depth is also different. So those parts of a fractal are always going to be unique. They do not copy over, even though the basic idea, the basic pattern copies over. The timing, the height, and depth do not. And that can allow for what looks like a unique structure, but fundamentally it's the same pattern being repeated. So we'll get a better understanding of this as we examine these structures. So what I'd like to do next is I'd like to go back to the very beginning and examine the first structures that played out. And the reason why we're doing that, it is these first structures that are really key in the macro structure. So here we are at the very beginning of the XLM chart. So XLM started in 2014. It starts with the lower decline. It then goes into the two range-bound fractals. So I'd like to bring your attention to this structure right here, the second range-bound fractal, and it is because this is the structure that we are following. So this structure has three basic parts to it: this wave, and this wave. Now, like I was telling you before, it is the original structures that are important. This structure right here is the original copy of which the other renditions of this fractal are photocopies. Now, it's not quite that simple, as the timing, height, and depth do not copy over, so they are the same idea, just expressed differently, and that is due to the timing, height, and depth being unique every single time it plays out. Let's jump over to the next iteration of this structure and see how timing, height, and depth have tweaked this structure. So here we are at the second iteration of this range-bound structure. This took place in January 2020, and it went to roughly November 2020. So as you can see, here is the first wave. Here's the second wave. Now, this second wave did not have the massive decline like it did here. Remember, timing, height, and depth. Here we see depth being different than this time around. It dropped, but it was not nearly as deep as it did originally. We then have the final wave here where it declines before moving into the bull run. So we see how the basic concept repeated the three waves, but we see also how it deviated. So here we are today. I'm on a 4-hour candle. What I'd like to do is I'd like to take this structure right here, copy and paste it onto today's chart. So here is that original range-bound fractal 2 structure, copy and pasted on to today's chart. And as we see, while there is some originality to it, there is some differences, the basic idea is being followed. So here we have that first little wave. It moves up higher and then eventually winding its way down to a point. Well, what comes next? So at some point, price will begin to move back up. Now, it may not be as high as this. This could go lower still and still be following the structure. So we need to give it room to do its own thing, to be original in its path of copying what history tells us it will do. So in the coming days, here's a prediction. I predict in the coming days, XLM is going to begin to move up to a peak. I don't know how high it will go. At some point, it will reach a peak and then begin to decline again. Now, I don't know how low this decline will go because the depth is going to be an original thing. So that is my prediction. XLM, at a certain point, it needs to work this part out first, but once it does that, XLM will begin to start moving up again. It may challenge this peak. We'll have to see. It will come to a peak and then decline again. So let's zoom out a little further and see what happens next. So here is that original structure, copy and pasted onto all these different fractals. And as you can see, there is some deviation, but price does what it should as it follows those original structures from the very beginning of the XLM chart. So once we finish this range, the second range-bound fractal, we will enter the bull run. Now, I don't know how long this will take to play out. Timing could speed up. It could slow down at any minute. This is stretched to meet this part. That doesn't mean that this will take this long to play out. So put very little weight in timing because timing is fundamentally very difficult to predict. But after this structure completes, we should expect the bull run. Now, how this bull run plays out, we'll have to see. We have two different renditions of this bull run structure, this one and this one. So this one kind of goes flat and then zooms up, whereas this one kind of works its way up straight from the beginning. Anyways, that is a brief overview of what the XLM chart is doing and what we should expect in the coming days. Well, I hope I was able to shed some light on the XLM chart for you. If you liked this video, it'd be much appreciated if you hit that thumbs up button. You know, this type of technical analysis, it's original analysis. This is something that I have discovered that is the macro structure and all the repetitive nature of XLM to this macro structure. This is something that I have discovered, and you're not going to find it anywhere else. So if you're not subscribed yet, I recommend hitting that subscribe button because I will continue to make videos as the chart progresses. One important thing, I am not a financial advisor, so none of this should be used as financial or investment advice. I'm so glad you caught this video. I hope you catch my next one. Have a great day, and bye for now.